So it's a new year. Golf club manufacturers are starting to release, starting to show off all the new equipment they've got coming out this year. And I think a lot of people are planning on getting fit. They're looking into making a fitting appointment to get fit for new golf clubs. So this seems like the perfect time to talk about 5 tips to get the most out of your next golf club fitting. So let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to the Mobile Club Maker. I'm AJ. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. So yeah, today we are going to be talking about 5 tips to help you get the most out of your next golf club fitting. Now, there's a lot of other videos, there's a lot of articles about, things you should be doing at your golf club fitting to help you get good results. But, I'm not going to be giving you the old regurgitated list that you see all the time. I'm not going to be telling you to wear your golf shoes or remember your glove or don't show up drunk or, whatever. I mean, those are all good ideas, but I'm going to be going into a list that I think is a little more unique, but I think is extremely helpful to make sure that you get the clubs that you want. Okay, so the first tip is have a game plan. Now, this means a few different things. First off, you really want to pin down what is it you are trying to accomplish. Are you trying to hit it further? Are you trying to be more accurate? Are you trying to eliminate a certain miss? Are you trying to reduce pain? All of these are perfectly good reasons to go and get a club fitting and get new equipment, but you really want to pinpoint which of those or whatever it is going to be the most important to you, because that's going to really be the gauge that you use to decide what clubs or what combination works best for you. Beyond that, I think it's a really good idea that before you go to a fitting, do some research. Now, what do I mean by research? Well, if you know that you're looking at irons, sort of narrow it down a little bit right from the get-go. If you've got a certain style of iron that you like, go and check out the different manufacturers' websites. Look at what they've got offered in that particular style of golf club. Are you looking for a super game improvement club to really just help you hit the ball high and as far as possible? Are you looking for something more of a player's cavity back or a player's distance iron to help you both get a little more distance but also be able to control it and move the ball around? Really figure out sort of what category you want to be looking at. Because if you go in without any idea and you just have the mindset of, I'll just try everything, you have to remember you've only got a certain amount of time. And I'm not talking about the time that you have in the fitting. I'm talking about the time, the number of balls that your body can really hit before it just kind of goes out the window and you're too tired and the results are just going to be useless at that point. So you really want to kind of narrow it down at least a little bit into maybe 1 or 2 categories to sort of focus in on what you want to look at and not just go and show up at a fitting and be like, oh, I'll try a blade and I'll try a super game improvement iron and I'll try this and this and this and just see what shows up and see what's the best. Because, if you do that, you're going to have to hit so many balls that your results are going to be junk at the end of that. You need to have some sort of focus. Now, the other part of having a game plan is to realize your limits. Do you play golf every day of the week? Do you play golf a few times a week and hit balls a couple times a week? Or do you only play golf maybe once every 2 weeks or maybe once a month? Because the amount of golf you play is going to really dictate how many swings you can make in a fitting. If you play golf all the time and you hit balls all the time, well, sure, you can hit a ton of golf balls in a fitting and not get too tired and still have consistent results. But if you're only playing golf maybe once a month, you can't expect to be able to just go in there and hit ball after ball after ball for over an hour or more than an hour and expect to see consistent results. You just can't hope for that if your body isn't used to that. So be honest with yourself, realize your limits. If you're only playing golf every so often, don't go in there thinking that you're going to be able to try every combination, because you're going to get tired and then the results are not going to be useful at that point. Okay, tip number 2, have a budget. Now, I know, again, some people want to go in there and just say, I want to be completely open. I want to just try everything and find the perfect club for me. And you know what? That's a great idea, but here's what you have to really understand. There is really no perfect club. It's not like the key to your house. It's not there's a single key that works in that lock. There is not a single golf club that's going to work for you. There's going to be certain golf clubs that work better for you, and there's going to be certain golf clubs that don't work as well for you. But there's not just one, perfect combination, one perfect club for you. So the idea that you want to try, everything and every price just to see what works, I think will get a little bit dangerous. It's going to be the same thing as if you go in and just say, I want to try the blade, I want to try the Super Game Improvement, I want to try a 60-gram shaft, I want to try a 130-gram shaft, and just see what happens, because you've only got, again, a finite amount of time. So narrowing it down either by style or narrowing it down by budget, both of which I think are a good way to do it. Because also, if you don't have any budget, then don't be surprised when you get to the end of a fitting and all of a sudden those golf clubs came out to be the price of a small car, because it can very easily happen these days. Golf club equipment has gotten really quite expensive, and especially if you start doing customization with different shafts and grips and all those sorts of things, the price tag can really go up, and it can go up quickly. So what you see maybe on a manufacturer's website as a list price, that's only a starting point really when you get into some of these fittings. So have a budget. Make sure you have a set amount that you feel comfortable spending, both for your economic well-being and, again, to help you sort of rein it in, keep everything a little more tightly focused so that you don't end up just swinging away hundreds of swings and having half those swings be useless because you're tired at the end of it. Tip number 3, you want to be knowledgeable not only about the equipment that you're maybe looking at, but you really want to be knowledgeable about the equipment you're coming from. What equipment are you currently using? So what am I talking about there? Well, I would say things like, obviously, if we're talking about irons, what style of iron are you using? If we're talking irons or woods, what kind of lofts are on those? Are you using a 9.5 degree driver right now? Are you using an 11 degree driver? Are your irons what would be considered strong lofted, or are they more, traditional lofted clubs? Do they have, if we're talking about irons, do they have more offset, or are they more of a straight-faced club? What about the shafts? Are you playing with, say, 130-gram dynamic gold shafts, or are you playing with 90-gram shafts? These are all things that are important because it'll help give you a point of reference for all the other equipment that you're going to try out. So you want to make sure that, if you're coming from a 130-gram shaft and you go into a 80-gram shaft, well, that's a pretty huge difference. And it's something you want to be aware of versus maybe a 130-gram shaft to a 110-gram shaft. Again, these sorts of things where you show up to a fitting with knowledge, both of the equipment that you're thinking about looking at, but also your equipment that you currently have, I kind of think of it as hedging your bet against having a bad fitting or having a bad fitter. The more information you go into that fitting with, the better the results are going to be for you. There's just no way around that. If you show up with more information and you know what you're looking for and you know what you're currently playing, that can only help you get the best results in that fitting. Okay, tip number 2. Did I call that tip number 2 or tip number 4? Maybe I'll do it again. This one, I see this a lot from people who go to fittings, and they'll go to a fitting and they'll leave and they'll be incredibly disappointed because they didn't make a decision. They couldn't narrow it down enough to make that final decision. They couldn't choose. Either there were too many options or a few options that were too close, they were too good, or maybe they just went and they just had a terrible time of it. They hit everything terrible. So my tip would really be, go into a fitting and be prepared to walk out empty-handed. Don't go into that fitting saying, I'm going to go in and I'm going to find the perfect club and I'm going to buy it right there, or I'm going to order it right there. Because at the end of the day, that is just more extra pressure that you're putting on yourself. So don't go into it thinking, I'm going to buy this club right now. You may find the club that works just right for you that you're completely happy with, but be prepared that you might not. You might have it come down to 2 different clubs. You might have it come down to 3 different clubs. different things, but don't feel like you have to force a decision right then and there. You might have to go home, you might have to sleep on it, you might have to go back online and look over a few things. You might have to come back again either for another fitting, either a separate one or a continuation of that first fitting, or even just go and demo the clubs at a local golf store and just sort of see which one looks and feels right. But don't feel like you have to walk out of a fitting with new equipment. Okay, my last tip today, and I think personally this is maybe the most important of the bunch, and that is throw out your first 3 to 5 swings with any new club. So what I mean by that is anytime that fitter hands you a new, a different, something that has been changed in that golf club, I want you to throw out the first few swings you take. Now, I don't care if you hit them absolutely perfect, the longest, the straightest you've ever hit them. I don't care if you just cold shank them into the wall. Regardless of what happens with them, don't use them in your data set. Now, if you're a better golfer who's playing a lot of golf, I would say don't include the first 3 to 5 probably. If you're more recreational, if you're only playing maybe once a month, I would say don't include the first couple swings. The reason for that is because your body is getting bombarded with all these changing variables, different head shape, different shaft weights, all these changes. And it takes a while for your body to get adjusted. In fact, it takes quite a long time for your body really to get adjusted to where it's really ingrained. It's a lot like when you make a swing change. You don't just make a swing change and go out to the course and expect it to work, because I think we all know it usually doesn't. It takes a long time to get used to that new feeling, get used to that movement before it becomes ingrained. And it's the same way with equipment. If you go from a 130 gram shaft and you start swinging an 80 gram shaft, your body is going to react to that. And it's going to take a while for your body to get used to that. So those first few swings are really your body trying to swing like it's swinging that 130 gram shaft, but it's actually 80 grams and it feels different and things are going to change. So what we're really trying to do here is give you at least a little more time. It really takes a lot of time, but let's face it, you've only got a set amount of swings, a set amount of time in a fitting, so you have to be smart with it. So I would say discount out, don't include at least the first couple swings up to the first 5 swings with any change you make, because I think that will give you much more consistent, much more authentic, reliable data versus, the very first swing you take, maybe you hit it great, but is that really going to be how that club continues to feel and perform a month down the road, 6 months down the road? And I would say no, it isn't. You're going to be much more comparing apples to apples if you can take, swings 5 through 10 versus swings 1 through 5. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please go down below, give it a thumbs up, and if you have not already, go down, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I always answer all of those. I am also now on Instagram. You can find me at Mobile Club Maker. And until next time, take care. We will see you on the next video. Bye.